Your will, now you listen to me, your will, you know what I mean by your will? Your will, you in there, okay? The power you have is stronger than any force that can ever distract you or do anything to you, period. You are the strongest thing in there. Will is the power of self. It is the power of Chit Shakti, of conscious energy. When an event happens outside and the consciousness starts to get drawn toward it, you have every ability to relax and bring it back. Every one of you do. Don't tell me, I don't have a very strong will. The fact that you took human birth means that your will and your soul is evolved enough to be transcendent to every single force that can draw on it. Did you know that? That's why people can do weird things. People do all kinds of weird things, like the Yakuza. I hate to tell you this. You ever see their whole thing? That if they insult their master, they sit there and it's Japanese. How am I telling you this? I don't know. Because I'm showing you how powerful will is, right? And they sit before their master and their boss and they say, I'm so sorry, I'll show you how sorry I am. They take a knife, they put their finger down and they cut their finger off. While they're talking and looking and staring at that, and they ceremonially batch up their finger and give the finger in a wrapped cloth. This is true, right? It's a true statement. In a wrapped cloth, they give it to their boss, their master. They have the mafia, that kind of thing, right? To sit there and say, that's how sorry I am that I didn't live up to your expectations, all right? There's a lot of Yakuza running around with that. They leave their trigger finger last, right? Because they're mafia, right? I'm in trouble. All right. But what I'm trying to show you is that's a lot of will. That's painful. That's serious, okay? All right? People do all kinds of things because they want to. They want to enough to where their will is strong enough that they can apply it. You want out? See, you're Yakuza, but for a different reason, all right? You're a great being. You want liberation? You know what it's like to not have all the garbage going on inside of you? Are you willing, when you get consciousness, awareness, that the moment you see it's about to get pulled over here or over here, are you willing to relax? Are you willing to just relax? You let it go. God, I always explain it this way. People think you have to be strong to do this. You do not have to be strong to do this. This is not a question of strength. Let's say you're doing a tug of war with, I always say, the entire Gator football team's on one end and you're on this end, all right? And you want to go home and have lunch, but they're pulling it the wrong way, all right? And you're pulling, you're holding. You learned every technique. You learned how to bend your knees. You learned how to do, the karate stuff. You learned how to dig your heels in. You learned to wrap it around your waist. And oh my God, you've learned every single tug of war technique that could possibly exist. And you're going, they're pulling you, all right? And all of a sudden, Yoda shows up, right? Little Yoda sitting down there, right? Luke, let go. And he sits there and he says, what do you mean let go? If I let go, they're going to pull me face first. Let go of the rope. Whoa, you see, Yoda's very smart, all right? What do you mean? I'm trying, I'm pulling. See where your hands are? See where your hands are holding the rope? Yeah. Let go. Relax your hands. What will happen? Many of you do, go home to lunch. Do you understand that? The minute you do, that's why relaxation is always the answer. So when this distraction, the jealousy, the insecurity, the whatever it is, right, starts pulling on you, and I just need you to have that conscious for one moment to where instead of saying the solution is to run after it, the solution is to suppress it, right? Like, let's say you're attracted to somebody that's inappropriate, right? You're married and all of a sudden you get attracted to somebody. What are you going to do? I'm going to suppress it. It didn't happen. No, it's terrible. Oh my God. Yeah, and you suppress it. Well, you're in big trouble. I'm telling you, you're in big trouble. You just destroyed your life. You destroyed your relationship with your spouse. You destroyed everything because you just blocked the flow of your energy with this thing you shoved down there. Suppression is the worst thing you can ever do. Understand that? All right? Or, okay, I'm going to sit there and deal with it, express it or do what the heck it is, try to fix it, right? No. The right thing to do is if something comes up, to relax and release. And what you've done then is allowed the room for the cause to pass through. You'll now love your spouse more. You'll love everybody more because you release the blockage that caused the reaction. Does anybody understand what I'm talking about? Okay. So this thing about the rope, that's big, right? You're there, you're conscious. An event takes place that triggers you, and all of a sudden you start to get distracted. It starts to pull. It's a pull. It's like a water skiing. Have you ever water skied? The boat pulls you. That's what this distraction does. It pulls your consciousness toward it. Relax. Relax and release. I call it R&R. You need some R&R, right? You relax and release. And what will happen is the energy will not pull the consciousness out, and you will have transcended and transmuted the power of that energy. Now, you listen to me, right? I'm literally saying the power that had over you, when you are able to relax your way through it, that power comes back to self every single time. And it builds the power of self. Next time, your will be 100 times stronger than it was this time. Do you understand that? All right, so you're either giving your will to what's pulling on it. If you're trying to stop drinking, every single time you don't drink, you are more likely to not drink. Do you understand that? Every time, oh, but I had a bad day. You made it through it. You didn't do it. You built the power of will in the power of self. And likewise, every single time you do drink, after 5 years of not drinking, you got all your chips together, go have one drink and tell me how easier the second one is. Does anybody understand? The power of not doing it that you built over 5 years is almost totally overcome by drinking once. Go ask AA, they'll tell you. The same thing goes with any of these habits. Because your neural pathways are carved to do it, if you refeed them, they flow right back there. So it's the same thing here. If you are willing to let go, that's what I'm talking to you about, the deepest state. I'm in the witness. I see what's going on. I've been given the grace. At first, it's just a moment. But no one can tell me that they do not see what's going on. I did 30 years of prison work. Those are not exactly the most self-controlled people. Everyone on max security, murder, rape, everything. They're in there for life, okay? And we would talk like this, and every one of them, everyone told me that before they did what they did, there was a moment in which they were perfectly aware of what they were about to do. If they started getting angered and just all of a sudden be there, it starts somewheres. It starts to build up, and then it explodes. You deal with it the moment it shows up, let go, and then you come tell me what's going to happen to you, because I'll see it in your eyes. The power that it had over you gets transmuted to you, to the self. And all of a sudden, this tremendously powerful center of being is what exists. And all of a sudden, if you do it with jealousy, the power you built in letting go of jealousy is there for food, it's there for this, it's there for everything. You're building the power of your being, right? That's why I was talking about personal growth, all right? This is the talk about, when you work out, they talk about core, building the core of your being. This is the core of your being. Now you're doing core workout. You're building the center of your being to be strong enough to let go of the pull that these habits and tendencies have over you. Every single time you let go, a piece of those rocks that are causing disturbance are purified. And this is real spiritual growth. And this is yoga, right? The reason you do all your practices is to learn to sit in this seat and let go. Well, how often do I let go? Every single time. But aren't there times I need to deal with something? That's what you want to say, don't you? Isn't there times I need to deal with something? Of course there are times you need to deal with something. But you don't deal with what's outside until you've dealt with what's inside. If you don't let go first of your anger, your jealousy, your insecurity, your fear, your need, then everything you're going to be doing outside is for you. Understand that? If I'm attracted to you, right, and I say, I'll have to deal with that, I have an attraction, you're not dealing with that, you're dealing with your attraction. It's going to run your life. It's going to determine what you say, what you don't say, right or wrong. Same thing with your fears and insecurities. If you don't let go inside, the inside will run the outside. Does everybody see that? I always use a terrible example. Your kid's 16 years old, you get a call from the principal in the high school. We found drugs in your kid's locker. You need to come down here right away, blah, blah. Okay, well, that's not fun, is it? It's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the same thing. All your junk comes up inside. What did I do? Oh my God, when my husband finds out, he already thought our relationship was bad, he's going to blame me. I don't know. Right or wrong? Okay, and what will the neighbors think? Oh my God, if I have to go down there, people will see me. They'll see me walking in the principal's office, and I don't want to have a kid that does drugs. Oh my God, it's just, all right? Not a single word that went on inside you had anything to do with that child. It all had to do with you, right or wrong. It hit your stuff, okay? What did I do wrong? That's what you say to the kid. What did I do wrong? Why'd you do this to me? That'll help a lot, right? You're not even trying to help the kid. You're trying to help yourself. Do you understand that? So when it hits, it's going to come up inside. You always let go. Nobody believes me. You always let go. Always. There is never, ever a time that the highest dharmic right thing to do is not let go. All right? Okay, here it comes. Here's all the personal garbage. Do the best you can to let go of yourself every single time. Now what? Now that you are clearer anyways, all right? Now, it's not perfect. You're not going to be perfect, but at least you didn't go with the initial reaction. You stayed centered and clear. Now that you are clear, look outside. Is there something to deal with? Not that something to deal with is you. You don't ever deal with you. The only way to transcend the personal self is to transcend the personal self. There's nothing to do about it. What do I do about it? Nothing. You let it go. All right? If it's inside of you, let it go. Let it go. That way you're using it to go to God. Every single thing you let go of, now how the bigger it is, the better. And you just keep letting go. Now, if you look outside and it's still there. Now, Sally not saying hello, when you're done with letting go of your insecurity, Sally not there anymore. There is nothing to do. I'm telling you, my experience is 95% of these situations, there's nothing to do. It's just that it hits your stuff. All right? And if you let it go, there's nothing to do. You know, well, what if Sally's mad at me? You'll find out later. What if she didn't hear me? Well, no one will find out. It doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant. The only problem was you. How's that? Right? If the only problem is you, let it go. It's much easier. It's great. Not only was it easier and better for Sally and your relationship, but it actually took you to God because you let go of a piece of the garbage that got hit. It is always the highest thing to do to let go. Do you understand that? Right? You relax and you release. It's not easy, is it? Right? That stuff that's getting hit got stored down there because you didn't like it when it happened. Remember, you pushed it away? If it was stored with pain, I am telling you, it is coming back up with pain. Let's get this straight, right? There's no, can't I purify it? Can't the guru come down and purify it so it's beautiful? I love the guru. I worship all the time, all right? Literally, Meher Baba actually talked about that. Isn't that amazing? He was an amazing being. A disciple raised his hand and said, but Meher Baba, you're talking about getting rid of all this stuff, the cocoon of karma that's built inside the samskaric seeds. Why can't the master just come down with a scissor and cut the cocoon and free the soul? There you go. Sounds like a good idea. All right? And he answered very sternly and strongly. He said, first of all, the master can do anything. If it's truly a master merged with God, he has all the power in the universe. He would never, ever do it under any circumstances, ever. Because then you did not evolve enough, which is the purpose of life. You did not evolve enough to liberate yourself. Therefore, you didn't come back to God. You're not strong enough. You didn't go. That's like sitting there saying, well, I'm in third grade and I want to go to Harvard and get a law degree. Okay? Could they give me the certificate? Well, they could, but I don't want to go to you as a lawyer. It's there's this thing called learning that's supposed to happen in between. You understand that? Evolving. That's the exact same thing with the soul. So it's not about the stuff not hurting. It's about you weren't able to handle it when it happened. You couldn't handle it. Sally didn't say hello. Come on, give me a break. There's 7 billion people on the planet Earth. They didn't say hello to you. But you couldn't handle one of them, all right? That's how you have to look at it. So there's not something wrong with Sally that she didn't say hello. There's something wrong with me that I can't handle the most simple things in the whole world, correct? All right, so you let it go. You use it wisely and you release it. If you will do this, like I said, you will find that you stay centered. What does that mean? I don't get pulled away by the distraction. Now you have a definition of what it means to be centered. The consciousness remains in the seat of self. Even though a distracting event took place and began to pull on it, it came back to its center. It didn't go all the way out. It started to go out. It's like a whoop, whoop. That's what it feels like inside. Whoop, right? It starts to pull out. You relax. You don't pull it back. I'm telling you, don't try to be stronger than the noise that's distracting you. The key is to relax. If you relax, you stay. Isn't that neat? It is the relaxation that does it. So you relax through these disturbances. Every one you relax through makes you stronger for any other one. And eventually, I shouldn't tell you this, right? It's not that there's this one moment that something starts to distract you. It all gets into slow motion at a level that's absolutely ridiculous. It feels like you have 10 hours to decide, am I going to go out there? I spent years and years, I've invested. Look what I've invested. Sometimes you'll get to the point where you realize, I let go of 7,000 things for all these years. Now something bigger happened. Am I willing to give up the pain, the strength, the work I did of letting go of 7,000 for this one? Right? See why I use the analogy of alcoholism, of AA? I got chips, 5 years worth of chips. Now I got this situation. Am I really willing to give all that up that I did, what I went through, exercising that will? Because this one thing is stronger, and you'll start finding that, you want to build on your investment. So it then goes into slow motion, and all of a sudden you have all the time you need, and then only a fool would consciously say, what the hell, I'll do it anyways. I'm serious. Your mind will sit there and say, well, I don't want to be a goody-goody. I just sit there and what's wrong with this? This is a good opportunity. This opportunity won't come back later, right? I can just go do this and have a drink. I want you to equate it, the going with the energy that's pulling you from your center. I want you to equate it to going back on heroin after you went through withdrawal and got off. I went now bigger than drinking, okay? It's like, really? You really want to do that, do you? Because I'm telling you, if you go with that energy, right, you will have given up. If it takes a 100 to not go with it, once you go with it, it offsets 600. I'm serious. I'm not exaggerating. Ask AA. If you stop drinking 10 times and then you take one, it totally offsets the 10 times completely and utterly, doesn't it? Okay? So you learn to work with your center. I've taken you to a beautiful place, which is I'm in here. I am aware that I have crap in here with me. How about you, right? And it can get hit. That's stuff you stored from before. It was stored with pain. I wasn't able to handle it when it happened. It's going to come back up. Am I capable of handling it now? So Sally went by. Now I hear the word Sally. Obviously, it's not as big as the first time, but I feel a discomfort. The slightest discomfort, I will not accept not a tinge of it. If it moves, I'm letting it go. If it happens in the heart or it happens in the mind, first reaction, relax and release, right? Then look to see, is there something I'm supposed to deal with? If there is still something out there, then you're clear enough to deal with what's out there instead of being distracted by what's going on inside of you. Does anyone hear me? All right? If you are distracted by what's going on inside of you, I don't want to be around when you're dealing with what's outside, because you're not dealing with what's outside. You're trying to manipulate the outside to make you feel better inside, aren't you? Okay? So basically you learn this practice. This is your spiritual practice. What? Letting go. When? Always. Every single second, the driver in front of you is driving too slow, let go. The behind you beeped. You were sitting there at the traffic light, you're looking at your little smartphone, and you didn't go with the traffic light, meh, right? I mean, really obnoxious. It was only 2 seconds, obnoxious beat, all right? Stuff's going to come up, isn't it? Right? You're going to say something to that guy. He don't hear you. He don't hear a word, all right? Nothing going on in there, right? Let it go. There's an excellent opportunity. You understand that? You're driving, you need to deliver something somewheres, and it starts pouring, and you have no time frame, you have to get there, and it's raining, and there's nothing you can do, you are going to get wet. Let it go. Let what go? Getting wet, you wish you could. Let go of the resistance to the reality of the situation that's in front of you. Do you hear what I'm saying? Why not? What do you want this garbage? I don't have to talk in the rain. It always rains. I have to go somewhere. God doesn't like me. What are you doing? Let it go. It's not a game. Work with yourself constantly, relentlessly. A yogi works with themselves every single second. You work with everybody else every second. Everybody, it's a full-time job to get everybody to be the way you want, isn't it? Right? You're out there manipulating, controlling, doing everything you can. Instead, you work with yourself and you just keep letting go. And wait till you see what happens. I'm telling you what will happen. I laid it out. I've never talked to you this way before. I've laid it out for you. At first, it's hard, right? Because you want to fix it. Either suppress it or fix it, right? No, relax. You'll learn to do it. You'll practice, just like learn a piano or learn to play tennis. Practice, just practice. Don't get hard on yourself. Don't worry if it fails, right? What if you're playing the piano and you make a mistake? I don't want to play. Well, that's ridiculous. right? It's good. It means you need to learn things, right? If you sit there and you're trying to let go and all of a sudden you didn't, you get caught somewhere and you like, oh my God, I should have let that go. Don't get guilty. Don't get this. Just you were practicing the piano and you made a mistake. Just get back up. Say next time, I'll be a little wiser next time, all right? And it helps you. And you just keep letting go your whole life, every single second. And then, like I said, what will happen is you'll get used to feeling from inside this tendency for the consciousness to be drawn away from the center toward the distraction. I love that I taught you that. That's what's happening. It's being pulled toward the loudest distraction, right? Relax, it'll come back. Relax, it'll come back. And every time it comes back, the power of the distraction gets invested into the seat of self. And all of a sudden, your center, you can't even talk about it. You become what's called a being of power. And you feel it. That power you build inside, this is Shakti. You're building the power of being, of yourself, back to the center of self. Well, if I start coagulating and consolidating power in one place, it gets powerful, doesn't it? All right? And that's where all the power comes from. So where healing comes from, where Shaktipat comes from, where everything comes from. It's from building that center and not letting pieces of it get drawn away by the distractions. Doesn't mean you have to go into the Himalayas and not get distracted. I would rather have you work in your everyday life and not get distracted. I'm not impressed if you can go into a sensory deprivation cave and not be distracted, right? I'm impressed if you can stay in your everyday life and not be distracted by this garbage going on inside of you. And the growth is way better too. Do you understand that? This is how you use every moment of your life to go to God. It's fun, isn't it? All of a sudden, it's this exciting journey of transcending yourself, as opposed to getting what yourself wants so you don't have to transcend yourself. What's happening now, your needs, your desires, your likes, and your dislikes are the reflection of where you're caught. Something bothered you before, so you now want something to happen that doesn't bother you. You saw somebody had a nicer car than you, and the girl or guy went with them in high school, and now all of a sudden you get this thing about a nice car. It's just, you're just reliving your garbage with your likes and dislikes. Instead, you relax and release, relax and release, relax and release, relax and release. All right? Then it will build your center, like we talked about, and it gets stronger and stronger, and eventually you will reach a point where the joy, the love, the power is feeding you from inside. And there's nothing that can come in from outside that's more beautiful than what's going on inside. Every one of you have that center, right? Yogananda said, there's a river of joy flowing inside of you. Find it, go there, get in, and drown. That's yoga. This is how you find it. You ask, how do I find it? Don't go looking for it. Don't get a map, all right? You keep, does everybody understand? I want to know, letting go. Do you see the power of that? The power of relaxing and releasing to allow the chi, the Shakti, to build back into your center. And then eventually it starts flowing up. That's what it does. Because you're not going with the pull down, it changes direction. It literally changes direction and starts flowing up and feeding you. Now, if you're smart, you realize this is more beautiful than anything I ever experienced. I'm going to hang out with this. And now you start really, really building a center inside yourself, and you would never let anything take it away from you. And then it gets stronger. It just does nothing but get stronger all the time. And eventually it gets so strong. What does? The joy, the beauty, the bliss, the ecstasy flowing up inside of you that you can't stand it. Literally can't stand in its presence. It starts pulling you into it. You're not doing anything. It's not an act of meditation. It's just pulling you into it. It's so beautiful that you want to just melt. You don't even want to exist. You want to just melt into it. Now you're being pulled naturally into the higher states. You fall into a breathless state with that going on. Now that's very honorable. You understand that? Because you purified. Those states don't come and go. Now you become, that's where the great masters lived. They merged. They just released the personal completely. And now you have Christ saying, my Father and I are one. So notice I started with the personal garbage. That's what I want you to get from this talk. I started with the dirty stuff, didn't I? Your laundry. And we ended up in God, but permanently in God, not some experience I had. It's my state of being because you let go of the rest. So this is called, I've talked to you about, which I've never really talked to you this way before, right? That is called the evolution of the soul. That entire process I just talked to you about is the evolution of the soul. It is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger because it's able to let go of what was pulling it down. It becomes healthier and healthier, and eventually there's not a single thing in this world, nothing We chant the Sri Megillah in the morning. There's a line that says, the man that has tasted the bliss of the self may move amongst objects of sense without fear. His mind never clings to the world's misery. His heart is with God and his soul is set free. How's that sound? Like what we just talked about, right? And it's called Jivan Mukta. You're now a liberated being. So you all are beautiful, beautiful people, or you wouldn't be here, right? You turn to yoga, you turn to Eastern teaching, you turn to meditation. That's really beautiful. Never forget what we just talked about, because that is the evolution of your soul. That's the reason you took birth on this plane. Earth is a place that souls are sent to evolve. You understand that? So this is what you're doing. You're doing your dharma. People say, what's my dharma? I just told you. That's your dharma. The rest will happen naturally by itself. Well, thank you. Thank you for being interested in these things and for listening.